Alright, well here we are back in the garage. In today's video I'm going to tie up another loose end. That's going to be installing a winch on the mini snowcat. In this case I'd like to have a winch that is movable between the front and the rear of the cat. If I were to go with a fixed winch, I think I would probably get into trouble where the winch would end up being on the wrong end, whichever one I chose. So this way, if you need to pull the machine out from the rear, it should be a pretty simple task to move the winch from the front to the back. So the idea here, the winch is mounted on a piece of 1/4 inch plate, and I'm going to use the two anchor points that I have in the front. I have two matching anchor points in the rear. These work really good for securing the snowcat to the trailer when I'm moving it around. And the idea here is I'm going to use this piece of 1 1/8" cold rolled shaft. It fits right into those eye bolts perfectly. I'll cut this to length and then drill some pinholes on either side to keep it locked in place. And then the winch itself will get welded to that piece of rod and more or less sit either in the front or the back. All you have to do is unpin the two sides and you can slip it out, move it around. The only tricky part about using this round bar to secure the winch to the snowcat is I'll need to make some kind of little arm or tab that basically prevents it from rotating down and hanging out in front of the snowcat. So I want to make sure that it actually stays up and clear. When it comes to the back, it'll be pretty much the same deal. The bar will pin into place, the winch will be welded to it, and that'll allow me to do a rear recovery if I had to. Alright, so I have finished welding up this mount here, and it is set up all on this 1 1/8" cold rolled rod. So I have the base plate of the winch mount welded into a channel. This is actually a piece of keyed shaft. And on the back, to stop the winch from flopping down, I put these stops here, and they butt up with these plates here that the drive motors are mounted to, and basically it all just slides into place, pin it in, and you're ready to go. So around the back it's a little bit different. I ran into an issue with this exhaust support bracket. I can either relocate this or potentially weld it into place. That wouldn't be a bad idea. The other thing I'm thinking of doing actually is this rear bumper here is only 1/8" wall, so there's not a lot of substance to it. I think what I might do is actually get a piece of 2-inch flat bar, 1/4 inch thick, and reinforce this back bumper so that when I do get this winch into place, it has a little bit more substance to push against with these support brackets. Alright, so I've got the winch temporarily mounted back here. I just threw a couple washers in behind that eye bolt to space it out. This block clears that piece of the exhaust bracket, but the plan is to reinforce the rear bumper there with a section of flat bar, 1/4 inch, and that should make everything fit together nicely. Next step is going to be setting up the wiring. It comes with a pretty basic control. It's just 2 push buttons and a couple sets of wires. So what I'm going to do is use these high capacity DC plugs, and I'm going to set one up on the winch. I'm going to have one set up right on the battery there, and then the remote will basically just have 2 of the mating plugs, and when I need to actually use the winch, I'll pull the remote out from, you know, the back or wherever it's being stored, plug it into the battery, plug it into the winch, and be ready to go. That way I don't have all of this excess wiring just kind of floating around, potentially getting damaged or whatnot while out riding on the trails. Hey guys, back in the garage. It's been about a week now since I did the setup for the winch, and I was able to get the connectors and a couple extra parts. So for the control, I just used some of this braided plastic mesh to keep the wires together, and these are the power pole connectors that I have set up. So there's 2 on the control, there's one that comes right off of the battery, it's just tucked inside, and then the other end has, here on the winch, there's another plug. So basically, if I need to, I can pull the remote out, set up the winch on the front or the back as required, and should work nicely. So the plan for today, just to take care of a couple small things, because I've been using it occasionally around the yard and whatnot. I would like to just go over a couple of the kind of wear points and make sure that everything's still as it should be. I found there was one little leak on the hydraulic pump. The connector wasn't quite torqued down, so fixed that up. I do need to add a little bit of hydraulic fluid, and otherwise, yeah, I think it's doing pretty good. Other plan is to try and figure out how I can get a larger fuel tank. This is only 3 gallons, and I realized that this is just not gonna give me the range I'm looking for. This might only give me a couple miles at best, so I'd like to find something around 6 or 7 gallons, but I would even take 5 gallons right now. So I'm gonna see what I can whip up from parts around the house here. So yeah, that's about it for now. Otherwise, it's been running really well. It starts great in the cold weather. The choke-o-matic on this Briggs & Stratton is great. It is -20 outside right now, so you just pull the throttle all the way back till it gets to the choke point, and the thing starts right up, no problem. So I'm quite impressed with that on this engine. Yeah, otherwise this thing's running great. So tonight we're looking for about 6 inches of snow, which is very exciting. That's probably the most significant snowfall we've had since early November, and since then it's kind of all melted, so this should be enough to get back out and scooting around.